Well, good morning, everybody. This is dear Mama Sal on a beautiful, sunny Wednesday morning. The temperature is chilly, 2 degrees, which I was just double checking. 36 in American, here in southern British Columbia. But very pleasant morning so far. Now I'm a little bit discombobulated this morning because I spent a little bit of extra time last night. I'm going to have a house guest for a few days, so one of the things that I needed to do was to try and get my guest room sorted out, and you'll be amazed how much of my Christmas stuff was still sitting in my guest room. I don't know if any of you can relate to that, but it was just like, I guess that didn't go downstairs either. So, no problem, we will get that. And then of course it moved into other places where it still hasn't gone where it meant to go. I'm really bad about that. Do any of you relate to that? It's a case of I'll move it from point A to point B rather than put it where it's meant to go. I wonder in my lifetime if I'm ever going to change that. Anyway, so having said that, such is life. But I ended up doing quite a bit of running up and down stairs, which I'm certain was good for my body, as I was sort of sorting things through. And then tonight I'm going to be doing my wash and everything ready for packing tomorrow, and hopefully going down to sorry about that, just watching traffic here. Going down to the birthday party at the weekend. Now I must admit that I'm pretty sure it's going to be a really fun weekend of it, and I'm just waiting to hear back from Benji on something, and then my final plans will be made. Exciting. It just seems, you know, like yesterday that it was the first party for Juliana. And of course it wasn't. She's had a second already. But it just seems to go by so quickly. And I'm certain those of you who've had children will be the first to agree with that one. They're grown up before you know it. Although there are some years where it takes a very long time for them to grow through the certain years, I'm sure. If you know what I mean. I pray God they hurry up and grow up through this one. Anyway, so it's going to be a fun thing. I'm going to talk a bit today just about hanging on, I think. Hanging on is a technique that I found works really well for me. There are moments where I can feel that I'm about to go into overwhelm, but I hang on to just being out of it. Because I know how to get out of overwhelm. Overwhelm, you mean to systematically do the steps that are needed to get the various aspects out of your way. So let's say, for example, last night, and I like to give you practical examples of these things because I think it's easy to talk about them, but sometimes the example makes it easier to understand. So last night I quite got home after a long, hard day at work, and now it's time to put up the vlog, do all my usual stuff, which normally takes my evening, eat. I still need to eat, and I still need to clear out and tidy up and make the bed and everything else in the guest bedroom. So you can understand that it was easy to get overwhelmed by it all. And so what I did was I worked on order of importance to my health. I know that probably sounds strange. Not to impress anybody, in order of importance to my health. So the first thing was, when I got home from work, was to sit quietly with a cup of coffee, which is what I normally do, and just get the first part of my vlog moving from my camera into my computer. And what that did was it gave me a chance just to regroup and work on doing that and working out what else needed to be done. So that's what I did. As soon as the vlog was moving into my computer and being processed that way, I got up and went and cooked some dinner. And I cooked a good dinner. And whilst the dinner was being cooked, I also tidied up my kitchen as best I could. Whereas normally I would not do that. I'd be going off and doing something else, but I decided that was important to my sanity was to get that tidied up a little bit better. It'll never be tidy like yours, but it was looking a lot better. And then by the time I'd done that, I went and sat down and ate my dinner. And I multitasked, because I do that, just editing as I went along. I find that actually is quite clever, because it stops you from gobbling down food. It makes you take a little bit more time. So, I'll take a bite and I'll edit it a little bit, and then I'll take another bite and edit a little bit more, and so forth. So when all that was done and my dinner was finished, I then left the vlog to process, which those of you who do this know that takes some time. So you're now moving it from its raw state into a state that you can upload it into YouTube. And whilst that was going on, I started taking some things out of the guest bedroom that should not have been there. And then I went back and uploaded it to YouTube, and whilst that was happening, I went back and did a bit more in the bedroom, and then I came back and sat down and started the processing of the vlog, which takes time. Went back, did a bit more in the back bedroom, and then eventually, when it was all processed and just about ready to go, I'm certain you all know that you then add the extra bits, the little comments that come up and so forth about, they're called annotations. They're the little extra bits that go on. And so I did those, and then it was ready to go. And by the time it was ready to go, I had eaten, 3/4 of the back room was done, and I was feeling quite relaxed, because I was just doing a little bit at a time. I wasn't going gangbusters all the time. I just kept doing it in little, 10-minute spurts. And sometimes that actually works better than just exhausting yourself. So I got the video up, I think only about half an hour later than I would normally do, and that was the half an hour I spent, I guess, doing the work in the spare bedroom, and it was done. The only difficulty I had was I have a few back problems at the moment, so that bed is slightly lower than mine, and leaning down and making a bed is painful for me now. And so I have to do that very carefully. But other than that, I did well. Did very well. So there it is. It's a bedroom all ready to go. And so hopefully my guest will be comfortable. And I managed to still have time to sit and watch at least one show. So I gave myself an hour of, vegging out. And then I turned over and I went fast asleep. I really did. I slept very well, indeed. And so what I did was I kept myself out of overwhelm by hanging on to the steps. You see, if I'd let the overwhelm overtake me, I would have been totally stressed out. And I think, as in so many things in our lives, when we concentrate on the actions that need to happen rather than the emotion of the problem, life gets a lot less stressful. So let me just try and think about what emotion could I have hung on to, and probably it would have almost stopped me from doing anything. I could have gone, oh gosh, my house is such a mess. My guest is going to judge me, and I could have done that emotion, right? And I just didn't go into that. I went tidy up what needs to be tidied up, and you don't have to do a deep cleaning for to impress anybody. Just tidy up and dust where it needs to be dusted, and that's all you need to do. And if your guest doesn't like it, your guest can do more when they get there. But it was really very simple. And then it was like with the kitchen. Okay, I kept tidying everything up, and I thought, gosh, the floor could do with a wash. And I went, yes, and I'll do that tomorrow. After I finish cooking dinner tomorrow, I will just put a quick mop over the kitchen floor. It certainly wasn't gross. It had a spot here and there. So I'd ask you to concentrate on that in the next couple of days, is controlling the actions, not the emotions. So I know at least one or two of my viewers suffer from depression. And you will hear me say time and time again that the way that I found out of depression and out of it permanently, hopefully, is to understand that my thoughts were actually making me depressed. As opposed to my actions, because my actions actually kept me with achievement and pleasure and things like that. So I always say to people, if you really do want to get out of depression, you need to do your way out, not think your way out. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't look at the things that are upsetting you and so forth. No, I totally agree with that. But, it's about sitting there and doing nothing but that for the whole day. It doesn't take you out of depression at all. It just keeps you there. So, the trick that I found for me was I just needed to give myself, sort of like an hour a day to sit and feel sorry for myself. My little pity party. And, I also had to understand that sitting and watching the soaps was not going to make me less depressed. because you can justify that. You know, I'll sit and I'll watch. Yeah, Dr. Phil or whatever, you know, and that'll make me better. Well, yeah, if that's all. But if you're watching Ellen, Dr. Phil, and 16 other things, you know, really, get up and do something. Stop being a vegetable. That will help you get out of depression. And it was a hard lesson for me to learn. And so that's really all links back into hanging on. If you want to hang on to life in that way, then, you know, it's a really good idea to do something about it. I can look, for example, one of my closets. I know I've got to take all the clothes out of it and paint inside, because I've got it half painted inside, but I've got to paint the other half. Now, it's a weekend's work. Well, it's actually probably a full day's work. By the time you've got everything out, prepped all the paint and everything, done the painting, let it dry, and then put all the clothes back in. It would be a good thing to do, because then in putting the clothes back in, I could decide what to keep and what not to keep. But do you think I make the time to do that? No. Because there's always something more important than that. And I've got so many things around my house that are so much more important than the next thing. So I've decided that I am going to allocate Friday afternoons between the two broadcasts as my do-it segment of my week. I always allow myself to sleep in on Friday mornings. Then I do the noon broadcast. And then I'm going to have my do-it afternoon. And I thought it'd be a fun thing to do, because someone's got a new fence. Wow. Interesting. I always love new fences. Anyway, so I'm going to do it. So if there's anybody else out there that has stuff that they know they need to do, perhaps you could join me in allocating a time, just so that each week we can sort of support each other. That would be awesome. The other thing is, if I do that, it really is exercise. I know that sounds strange, but it really is, because I won't be sitting around editing or doing whatever. I will be actually doing something, getting up and down, stretching, lifting things, putting them down again. It's all exercise. So that's my commitment. Let's hope that I've got enough discipline to do it. So obviously I'm on a do-it kick, aren't I? And it's going to be, I want to finish, I want to finish my renos, and I can't finish it unless I dedicate time to it. I mean, it's absolutely insane for me to think that my renos are going to magically, fix themselves. They're not. Either I've got to buy somebody to do it, or I've got to do it. End of story. Okay. I can do it. So on that very positive note, I hope that you can find some tools here to hang on and not get overwhelmed today. And just remember, every time your emotion is about to take over, just take a deep breath and go, no. Emotion will put me into overwhelm. Action will keep me hanging on to my regular life. And so, as much as you would rather sit and think about it, get up and do little bits about it. And for example, from last night, I literally would go and do about 15 minutes of something and then sit and do the next bit on the other thing and then go back and do another 15 minutes. And quite honestly, in 2 hours of that, it was all done. And it wasn't, it was 1 hour of work on my vlog and 1 hour of work on my back room, and both were done. Hope that makes sense. All right, everybody, have a wonderful day. It's still 2 degrees. It's still really cold. But it is winter still. Until the weekend. This is dear Mama Sal, wishing you all a wonderful, wonderful day. Look after one another. Find reasons to smile. Keep hanging on. And if you do get yourself overwhelmed, remember, take little action steps that'll take you out of overwhelm. Bye-bye for now.